Hey guys, it is February 3rd and I just wanted to give you an update in Houston, how things are going after our big snowstorm. Won't be the first, wasn't the first time, won't be the last time, but now we're prepared on how to handle these Arctic blasts that we all of a sudden have been getting every couple years. So here in the garage, I have grow lights set up and we bring in everything that is potted, that is fragile. So I tend to keep, let me turn the camera around. So I tend to keep the most fragile tropical plants in pots, and if I do plant it in the ground, I dig it up. For instance, I had a hibiscus. It was actually in another pot that couldn't be moved, so I just dug it up and put it in a movable pot. But all my monsteras I keep in pots. This white bird of paradise, I do have one in the ground, but I've found that the white ones, they take so long to get large that if you let them die back with the freeze, it's going to take forever to get up to its good size again. So I prefer to just keep them in pots and bring them in. The orange bird of paradise, they also take a little while to come back, but they do, and you know, they stay smaller anyway. Not as big of a deal, so I let those come back naturally. But and same thing with like that variegated ginger. It of course would come back on its own from the ground, but it would take a very long time to get back to this size. So I went ahead and left that one in a pot. So I'm currently, like I said, it's February 3rd. We don't have anything forecasted less than 43, I think I saw on in a couple weeks. Of course, that can't super be trusted, but I'm gonna go with that. And if there's anything less than that, we will pull a few items in. So everything's kind of a mess right now. Look at this. I just started pulling things back out. So let me show you what did make it. Okay, so out here in my front yard, I had sweet potato vine completely covered this area. All that dies back, but it comes back every year on its own. Sometimes not all of it comes back, but it eventually will spread. For instance, look, this is the vines and looks like this is still alive. So like this part's dead, but this is still alive. And I think all these leaves really helped to mulch that. And so I actually think this will come back sooner than later, which is awesome. These were hydrangeas, and this one I think died. I think the pot didn't have a hole or it got clogged, but this one has a weed in it, but also it has a bud. This one's fine. This one already has buds. These are the endless summer variety of hydrangea, and so they will all come back. Same with all the hydrangeas I had in pots. There's buds already. And then this looks like trash, but look. So it'll be fine. Just got to clean it up. Take all the dead stuff off and clean everything up. That's the worst part about after the freezes, is just everything looks nasty. And then my ferns out front, I did put a frost cloth over these, which helped. And so we got some damage, but lots of green. And so all this will come back from the base. These are shrimp plants that will come back. And yeah, all this is fine. I had my variegated agave that's in a pot that I always bring in. Okay, so my pride and joy alocasia dark star, I always, past 2 times, have done the same thing. I fill the entire base with mulched leaves, dried mulched leaves, and so that's like about a foot and a half high. And then I cut off almost all the leaves. I tried to leave these 2 leaves, and obviously this is what happens. It's like when you're in the process of cutting them, you think, no, I don't want to cut off every single leaf, but they're gonna die anyway, so it's really kind of pointless. So I'm just gonna pull the dead stuff off, and it will begin sprouting from this, because these are the last leaves. So it's gonna sprout from right here. We'll get a new leaf. And so what I've done every time is I wrap it in a thick moving blanket, and then I wrap that in a big tarp to keep it waterproof. And that has worked both times. So that entire stalk has no mushiness, no damage. It was just the leaves that got damaged. So, and like you can see, for instance, here, this little baby one didn't get damaged at all. Actually, it was kind of like pushed right here. It was completely covered, and it still looks great. So that's awesome. And so I do come and pull away all the leaves from the base so it can breathe more. And then all this, I have, pothos and wandering Jew all around here. And what I did was, when I cut all the leaves off of the alocasia, I laid them on the ground over all of this, and it acted as a insulation. And everything else around here, I'll show a picture of what this spot normally looks like, but everything's in pots other than what has spilled over into the ground and this alocasia. Everything else is in pots. So I'm able to fill up this area quickly to make it green again. And I think we're going to be getting a new fence before I put everything back. Okay, here is my stuff that I already pulled out of the garage. And I had a coleus experiment going on. So all the big pots are coleus that I had growing in the front yard. And I dug them up, threw them in a pot, cut them down, because they were like 3 feet high. And so I cut them down, and I knew that they were going to sprout from this. So I could have cut them down way lower, but I tried to keep them all about the same height, and kept them in the garage, and they're doing beautifully. And then I experimented with propagating them. And so I took, in this batch, I did 1 cutting in each pot. And then in this batch, I did like 4 cuttings in each pot, and those did not work. They molded, which is really interesting. Anyway, just one little tiny thing trying to hang on, but that did not work. These worked. So obviously I just had 1, maybe 2 that aren't gonna make it, but overall I'd call that a win. And then these are also propagations from smaller plants, and then I popped in a few propagations in some other pots like this. Anyway, I think it's doing relatively well, and I just brought it back right here. It wasn't getting grow lights too good in the garage, so I just brought them out, so they really should start to thrive now that they're back in the sun. I have 2 angel trumpet propagations here off of this mama plant, which I'll cut back. This is a pink angel trumpet. I'll cut that one back, and but I have 2 new, actually 3, maybe 4. This one looks like it's making it. 4 propagated angel trumpets. Okay, so now for the backyard. Everything you see that's brown and dead will come back. It's just a matter of dealing with cutting all the dead stuff back and waiting. It's just a waiting game. But so just briefly, quickly, what I have here that is all dead, lots of canna lilies. That's what's the bulk of in these 3 things. There's also some bird of paradise in here, the orange bird of paradise. These are hibiscus, the hardy hibiscus, the big rose mallow kind. So that comes back from the base, so I'll trim those back. And then more cannas. And here you can see the bird of paradise better here. So these still are green at the base, actually, which is better than they've done before. They've frozen all the way before and come back, but it just takes a really long time. Lantana usually comes back, but I've had some not. So a lot of people say they like come back no matter what. Not always. And these were the Zebrina banana plants. Banana plants will always come back. Same thing, Lantana, and if y'all remember, I had that tricolor sweet potato vine all throughout here. I'm curious. That was my first year with it, so I've never seen what it does after a freeze. I'm curious if any of it will come back, but if not, I do have some in a pot in the garage. But that stuff, whew, man, that stuff took over, but in a good way. It was really beautiful. Lots of elephant ears, colocasia, alocasia out here. I did cover this alocasia with a garbage can. I piled up leaves and then topped it with the garbage can. Cut off most of the leaves, but so we do have mushiness here because it was just a plain trash can, but the rest of it feels like all this feels hard. It's just this that's mush. So I'll just cut that off and then it'll grow from there. But that's good because I was not wanting to have to cut the stalk all the way at the ground. I was hoping to keep it a little bit taller. Bamboo doesn't look phased. And then all the bananas. These Thai plants, I'll have to cut those back. They'll come back though. What else do I have out here? This fern. This is a macho fern. I was a little concerned about it, but it looks like we have some green under here. So I just need to pull back these leaves and it'll be fine. And then there's the garden. These cucumbers I never pulled down before the freeze. So everything's still kind of a mess out here, but just to briefly show you, I have carrots. I had seeded carrots before, probably a couple weeks before the freeze. Still have some cabbage going. Cabbage looks fine. I did cover it with a frost cloth just to be safe. Same with my strawberries and cilantro. Everything kind of got smushed with the snow, but now it's fine. After I pulled off the cloth, everything looks good. I need to go ahead and eat this. And then I have rosemary's fine. All my Thai basil died back, of course, but it reseeds itself like crazy. Bok choy, obviously something got that one. These are doing fine. I have all my onions. So what I did was I covered the onions in cardboard boxes and then put a frost cloth over it. They're all fine, but a little smushed. And then my cats, stupid cats, I have this pokey stuff to try to keep them out, but after I took the boxes off, I kind of just left it, and the stupid cats got in here and started digging it up. So the garlic kind of got torn up from the cats. So I tried to replace everything kind of nicely and put the bricks and stuff in here to keep them away. We'll see. I think it'll all be fine. Pepper plants are kaput, of course. I have spinach, and blueberry plants are leafing out and budding up. Hopefully get some blueberries this year again. The snapdragons all did wonderfully. I just need to deadhead them, but they all still look really, really nice and green. Even with the snow on them, they all looked fine. What else do I have here? These are, I forget the name of them, foxglove. Those won't bloom for till later in the year. And then I had nasturtiums. That's what these were. They do not like cold weather at all. I think that's it. I had told y'all this palm tree had died, and that one over there looks beautiful. So we still plan on getting another one at some point this year. The grass looked a little bit more green before, but now it's starting to kind of die back. And we have emerald zoysia grass back here. I'm just drying out my tarp. So that is pretty much it. lots of work ahead of me, just cutting things back, but very hopeful. We've been through this before. Just gotta have patience. Well, I hope y'all have a great day. Let me know if you have any questions. And guess what? Now that it's warming up, you can go plant today.